What's this, folks? What is it? It's Easter lilies in July. Easter lilies in July. I've always found that true. Churches are mean to plants, and I rescued as many as I could. And I brought them home at Easter time in April and put them in the ground, and sure enough, they bloomed again. And I think they came up the next year. You're not going to be here forever, but a picture of you will be forever, I hope. And isn't it interesting? The Easter lilies come out the same time as the ordinary lilies.
And,
Yeah, at Labor Day.
yeah.
Speaking for
Richard,
myself.
pass me my junk out of the middle
I
of
can
the
speak for
chest.
myself also.
Hey folks, how are you on July the 8th, Wednesday, 2015, Anno Domini, the year of our Lord? Have you ever heard the word amortize? Amortize. A-M-O-R-T-I-Z-E. To provide for the gradual extinction of a future obligation in advance of maturity by periodic contributions to a sinking fund adequate to discharge a debt when it becomes necessary. Instantly, we think that applies to money, but it doesn't. Think of our lives. Think of your life. It fits in beautifully. The gradual extinction, to provide for the gradual extinction of a future obligation. How about the day that you leave this earth and the day your spirit leaves your body? To provide for the gradual extinction of a future obligation. So, are we going to wait until the day we leave and say, oh, we're sorry for all that we did. Thank you for all that you did for us. And bye? Are we going to wait until that day? No. We're going to provide for this future obligation the day we leave. in advance of maturity. What is maturity? Bye-bye day. And you'll say two things. I'm happy and thank you. Try to remember those two things. I'm happy and thank you. To amortize, to provide for the gradual extinction of a future obligation in advance of maturity by periodic contributions. What are those? Periodic contributions. Counting 40 blessings a day. What a great contribution. A periodic contribution. Excuse me, not a day, an hour. Counting 40 blessings an hour. Being a blessing to others all day long. Realizing that what this is all about is God, the universe, and others, helping others. God, the universe, and helping others. It's one, it's all there is. All day long, God, the universe, and others, we create. We do the creating, we do the operating. God, universe, and others. One. So let's go back to the beginning. To provide for the gradual extinction of a future obligation in advance of maturity by periodic contributions to a sinking fund. There's our sinking fund. All of the prayers that we've done, all of the good things that we've done, all of the cooperating and creating and operating with others. There it is. There's our sinking fund. So that on that day, what's going to happen? To a sinking fund adequate. It's got to be adequate. So we have to keep at it. We have to keep helping others. We have to keep praying. Don't let any ego go in there. Don't let any evil go in there. Adequate to discharge a debt. Our life is our obligations. Our obligations are helping others. Adequate to discharge a debt when it becomes necessary, and when it becomes necessary is when. Bye-bye. When you leave your body. That's what amortize means. Isn't it terrific? And if you read it carefully, it doesn't say anything about money. It just talks about a future obligation to discharge a debt when it becomes necessary. I love it. If it were money, what would you say? Well, I would say, if it were money, I would say you owe somebody some money in the certain terms, how much money will be due, how much interest will be due on a certain date. And instead of waiting for the date of obligation, you put a little bit of money in it, a little bit of money in it, a little bit of money in it, periodically contributions, until the obligation is due and there's nothing there to pay. You're not going to owe life anything. You're not going to owe others anything. You're not going to owe them love or care or happiness or joy or companionship. You're not going to owe anybody anything when that day comes and you go to, I don't know, well, your spirit leaves the body, and on that day you're not going to owe anything. And on that day you're going to be trying to see two things. You're going to try to be two things: happy and thankful. On the American Vegan Society magazine, here's something I think that you will be very interested in. This is the Glendora Vegetarian Club folder, and every day we read a page from the American Vegan Society magazine. And today's reading, folks, was very interesting. A 12-year-old boy has a radio show in southern New Jersey, or maybe it's up around the Philadelphia area. And this 12-year-old boy is a vegan. His mother is a vegan. And he has a radio show Sunday at noon on veganism. His name is Kevin Storm. And he said that he's looking for a theme song for his radio show. So I think we will email him, don't you think? Because we can give him our theme song for the Glendora Vegetarian Club. All creatures of our God and King, lift up your hearts and let us sing. Just be kind, stop the cruel. Thou cows and pigs, leave them alone. The horses, hens, and turkeys too. Save the fish, just be kind. One with God, stop the cruel. Hallelujah, hallelujah. We'll give him our theme song. Want some jokes about dieting? The woman said she started on the long, painful road, the long, painful trip to dieting. Trouble is, she cannot travel on an empty stomach. You heard about the Wonder Diet? You eat anything you want, and the next day you wonder why your clothes don't fit. And you heard about the Army Diet? Everything you eat goes to the front. And this woman was so happy, she got a new scale. It's in the metric system, so she has no idea how much she weighs. And the man who went on a diet for bananas and coconuts, that's all he ate was bananas and coconuts. Did he lose weight? No, but you should see him climb trees. And Edward says he diets religiously, and his wife says that means he doesn't eat during church. The woman who bought the scale, and a man's voice comes on and tells you how much you weigh, she brought the scale home, had it assembled, stepped on it, and guess what the man's voice said? One at a time, please. Did the doctor have you on his feet? Yes, I had to sell my car to pay the bill. Doctor, you're coughing much more easily than last time. Patient, I should be. I stayed up all night practicing. Breathe on her breath of God, till she is wholly thine, until this earthly part of her glows in thy spirit divine. Glow with thy spirit divine. Nice thought for today, isn't it? 1, glow with thy spirit divine. 2, glow with thy spirit divine. 3, glow with thy spirit divine. How many products do you think they stock in this big store, this big Walmart? Grand institution. 200,000 different products. Every time I come, it's $300 or $400 spent. The variety of God's creation. Vegetarian eating. What did you have? Grapes? Banana, apple, and 2 clementines. And I'm waiting for my friend Diane. Apparently she's spending a lot more money than I am. New paint.
And it's probably going to be closed the rest of the week. She's not normally open, but she does come in on her own time, sometimes
How
Thursday
do I
and
get
Friday.
in? What time can I speak to her?
Monday, 10 to 2.
Monday, 10.
Yep.
One nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Open the floor for public comment. Okay. We'll start out our meeting on a pleasant.
Gretchen Decker lives on Elm Street in the
Gretchen
orange
has
house, I
reached a
think.
milestone in our village. So we have issued a proclamation on her behalf. So the proclamation is whereas, as it is a sense of our unique society to recognize the contributions and achievements of citizens of this noble village, we recognize with profound respect and admiration a milestone in the life of a member of our community. And whereas, attendant to such duty and fully in accord with its long-standing traditions, it is the intent of the village board to convey its compliments and felicitations to Gretchen Decker upon the occasion of her 90th birthday on June 27, 2015. Whereas, born Gretchen Phillips to Hazel and Robert Phillips on Elm Street, Gretchen graduated from Malign High School in Albany in 1942 and graduated as a registered nurse from the Ellis School of Nursing in 1945. As a young girl, Gretchen enjoyed summers with her family at Lions Lake. Whereas Gretchen lived her entire life in Nassau, starting out on Elm Street, marrying Russell Hoppy Decker in 1945, then moving to Westbrook Drive in 1952, Gretchen worked as a registered nurse for Barnwell Nursing Home for 33 years, retiring in 1996. Whereas Gretchen is an asset to the community, she was instrumental in starting the Nassau Ambulance Squad and was one of the first nurses to work on the squad and delivered at least 2 babies. Gretchen provided medical care to village residents when necessary, was a regular blood donor, a Girl Scout leader. Gretchen enjoys gardening and has a shared love for antique automobiles with her husband for many years. Whereas Gretchen is a devoted wife to her husband Russell Hoppy Decker, and on August 27th, they will celebrate their 70th wedding anniversary.
Wow.
Gretchen and Hoppy are the loving parents of 4 children, Donna Decker, Susan Decker, Russell Decker III, and Jane Decker Visconti, devoted grandparents to 9 grandchildren and 9 great-grandchildren. Proclaim that pursuant to the authority vested in me as mayor of the village of Nassau and as recommended by the entire village board, I most joyously commend and congratulate Gretchen Decker on the occasion of her 90th birthday. Be it further resolved that the original of this resolution be formally presented to her and a copy be attached to the minutes of the July 2015 board meeting. There's one of the antique shoes. must say that's the best part of it. Okay, so, let's see, we'll approve the minutes of the June 25th.
That was just, I couldn't hear you. You might be a little too far away.
Oh, and nobody can hear you.
I can hear him just fine, but we can't over here.
I can barely hear you and I'm sitting in the front.
It's good to know, because unfortunately, unfortunately, I have a long report today. Okay, I will start from the beginning. Officer Jones filed a written report for June. 33 investigations, 8 arrests, 98 tickets were issued. And the details are in that written report. There were 2 significant drug arrests. One was for criminal possession of a controlled substance in the 4th degree. This was possession of hallucinogenic mushrooms, as well as a hypodermic needle, criminally, and marijuana. This is a pretty serious offense, classified as a Class C felony in New York, which can lead to a penalty of 1 to 2 years, up to 15 years, depending on the circumstances. This perpetrator was initially pulled over for being on his mobile phone while driving. He also ran the red light at Route 20. To give you a little bit of background on this, the perpetrator was engaged in a little game with his brother who was driving the car in front of him. And they both ended up going through that red light, and they were both on their phones. They were pulled over by an officer. They did this right in front of one of our officers. And they were both pulled over on Route 20, and one decided eventually to leave. He was, obviously, there was a call made. It was too late to actually get anyone after him. But they stopped the one car. And upon their investigation, they discovered the hypodermic needle on the person of the perpetrator. At that point, Officer Yazzo was brought in, and the car was searched, and they found the mushrooms and the marijuana. And just to sort of put a bow on that one, the brother eventually in the first car turned himself in the next court appearance, after we had follow-up, after the officers followed up with his mother. These were grown men, and they were having to deal with the mother. Second significant drug offense was an alleged local drug dealer. This was even a more severe offense. He was arrested on several drug-related charges, including criminal possession of a controlled substance in the 3rd degree. This gentleman had approximately 560 milligrams of oxycodone dispersed into multiple plastic bags, so he was ready to distribute. 47.5 grams of marijuana, a digital pocket scale, and almost $1,400 in cash. This is a Class B felony. 1 to 3 years in prison, up to 25, depending on the circumstances. And to sort of underline the seriousness of this offense, the judge who arraigned the perpetrator set his bail at $20,000 cash bail. That's a pretty hefty sum, to be sure. This again was instigated after the person ran the red light at Route 20 and 203. Once again, Officer Yazzo was called in during the investigation. And we also had one DWI arrest in June. Unit 602, the Chevy Tahoe has 2007, has 94,800 miles on it. Unit 603, Crown Victoria, has 28,200 miles on it. There were no repairs to the vehicles this month. In June, the department provided traffic control for the village-wide yard sale. As is customary, officers were both on foot and in car patrols during the event, and from the reports that I was provided, the event went off very well, and officers received a lot of positive feedback from the folks attending and participating in the sales. On June 27th, the officers worked at the 3rd annual bike rodeo put on by the youth committee, and I'm sure we'll hear more about that later. I want to thank the officers for that their time there, and the event was well attended once again this year. We also received a piece of email correspondence to the department, and it reads as follows. This was June 17th, 2015. Dear Officer Jones, this concerns one of your subordinates. Officer Dan Colonna. If you go to about the 15-minute mark at this YouTube video, and there's an address, it's one of Glendora's videos, you will hear Officer Colonna engaging with two senior citizens as he responded to a driveway sinkhole report yesterday evening. That evening reference was 16th of June. What a sterling example of a kind, solicitous, professional law enforcement officer. He should be commended for his professionalism and his genuinely personable demeanor. Truly inspirational in the way he treated these two senior citizens. You have good cause to be quite proud of Officer Colonna. I hope and trust you will encourage this kind of conduct by acknowledging Officer Colonna before his peers. Thank you. Respectfully submitted, William Jennings, Sergeant First Class, U.S. Army, retired. And I know I've spoken to Officer Jones about this already. He has shared this information with Officer Colonna, and I would just want to add on my behalf my commendation to Officer Colonna for his conduct in this matter, and certainly thank him for his service to the community. I also want to report on a conversation that I had with the leader of one of our houses of worship here in the village in regards to this department. As a champion of social justice and a very progressive-minded individual, this individual was concerned about the conduct of our local police, given all the news that we've all seen lately around the country with police departments doing things in manners that we would not want them to do, being overly militaristic, targeting certain groups unfairly, brutalizing suspects, and just things like that. But she relayed to me that she has spoken to upwards of 50 individuals around the village about the local police department. And she said she spoke with a wide swath of people from different social and economic backgrounds, people of color as well. Her comment to me was that she was amazed that not one person she talked with said anything negative about our officers. However, moreover, the consensus was that she felt safer, or that they felt safer, because our officers were there and could respond if they were needed. And as someone that I've gotten to know over the years, and certainly have respect for her, and as someone who is widely respected in the community, I certainly take her report as a weighty, in my mind, when I'm evaluating the conduct and performance of the department. I say that as I now will spend approximately 10 minutes addressing several concerns and questions that board members have expressed via email after the last board meeting. Thought it was a good time to address them in public rather than private. They were concerns about several things. One was the recent damage to the Chevy Tahoe in 602, and the alleged negligent treatment of the vehicle, the K-9 program, the police department budget, and finally, the overall attitude of officers in the department. And those are the concerns I'm going to address. There may have been others raised in the emails, but I will tell you that the style of presentation made it difficult to call the actual question or questions being proffered. Rather, reading the emails, it seemed more like the kinds of rants you'd expect to see in an internet forum populated by prepubescent teens concerned about how a recent update might have broken their beloved video game, but not the kinds of things you'd expect to see from adult elected public officials. Nonetheless, I will address each of these issues separately. First, the damage to the 602 Chevy Tahoe during an executive session at the last meeting. It was brought to the attention of the board that there was some damage to Unit 602. The damage that was characterized the front bumper as being split in half, and that's in quotes, split in half. So I set upon investigation the damage to the vehicle, and the damage to the vehicle is a crack about 4 or 5 inches in length on that front bumper below and extending behind the license plate, front license plate. There's also a scuff mark next to that crack on the right-hand side. There's no obvious point of impact, nor is there any obvious indication of when this damage might have occurred. And I asked Officer Jones to review the damage and repair history of the vehicle. And nothing of real note came up regarding the front bumper. And looking at the condition of the rest of the bumper, there are some other small cracks there. Not as large as those, but certainly some small cracks. So ultimately, in my mind, there's no obvious cause of this damage. The vehicle is 8 years old and has been in active service since 2007. Has experienced the standard wear and tear that a police vehicle experiences. It's accumulated minor damage to its exterior. It comes with the territory, so to speak. I will say, however, that this particular piece of damage is absolutely and completely cosmetic in nature. It does not affect the functioning of the vehicle, nor, as was attested to by Trustee Howard, affect its sale value. Now, along with this particular concern, it's been brought to my attention, a general concern has been raised with the way that the officers treat vehicles, that they don't care about the condition and are negligent in their handling of the vehicles. I have to say that these claims are absolutely unfounded, and there exists no evidence to support them. In fact, I find quite the opposite to be the case. The officers in this department are very much aware, probably more than they really should be, of the budgetary constraints that they and other village departments are under. They understand that the equipment we supply is not to be used without care and is not easily replaced. In fact, the officers do as much of the maintenance as they can themselves to save money, as do other departments. Highway department is the same thing. They do oil changes, electrical work, small repair on their own time with their own hands. And sometimes they even donate the materials. If anything, our officers take better care of vehicles than other police departments. And I have to say that the continued effort to conjure up a pattern of negligence on behalf of our department is not backed up by any documented nor documentable facts. I go on to the K-9 program. Regarding the K-9 program, there are several concerns about the use of the K-9, the necessity of the K-9, and the cost of the K-9. And I will address each of these separately. In terms of the cost of the K-9 program, for those of you who can remember back to June, July, August 2013, when the board was considering reestablishing this program, as well as what it would cost the village, the board agreed that it would be contained within the existing budget. We moved the $2,200 necessary for the program to exist from the personal service budget. Didn't add anything to the budget for this. The K-9 program was a budget neutral addition to the department. And if you take a look at the daily cost to village taxpayers for the K-9 program, it's $6, 1.4 cents per property per day. That's what it costs, 1.4 cents per property per day. Officer Yazzo was donated by a nice woman, who I don't know her name, from Long Island, specifically for the use of a police K-9, as a police K-9. Officer Bunny and Officer Yazzo trained together with the Massachusetts State Police K-9 instruction program on Officer Bunny's own time and his own dime. The village incurred no cost for the training. Officer Yazzo is trained in drugs and narcotics detection. Since then, he has also been trained in tracking. Unit 602, the Tahoe that everyone is so concerned about, was modified by Officer Jones and Officer Bunny to accommodate Officer Yazzo at the cost of $60 of materials from Home Depot. In terms of the need for the K-9 program in the village, and I point out to you the obvious problems that our village and many other surrounding communities have: illicit drug use and drug trafficking. In the months leading up to the board's decision to reestablish the K-9 program, we heard many stories about an epidemic increase in drug use, especially hard drugs like heroin and opiates like oxycodone, and among kids and others in rural Rensselaer County. It's all over the news and all over every other media you can imagine. And I asked Officer Jones if our department was seeing an increase in activity around the village with these drugs. He provided me with arrest and incident data from 2011, 2012, and at that time, 2013. And my analysis, which was shared with the board in June of 2013, showed that there was a dramatic increase, almost double the incidents between 2011 and 2013 in drug-related arrests in the village. By 2013, 1 in 5 of every arrest made in the village was for drug or drug-related incidents, compared to just a couple of years ago where it was 1 in 12. Obviously, the problem is getting worse. This is the information that the board considered in making the decision to reestablish the program. I can tell you in 2014, there were 22 arrests for drug and drug-related offenses. And again, that's about 1 in 5 of all the arrests in the village that year. And as I just mentioned, with June's arrests, we had 2 pretty serious drug-related arrests in the village. So for anyone to question whether the village needs a canine program targeting narcotics and drug detection, it just demonstrates how either uninformed or unconcerned with the well-being of our community they are. Since reestablishing the canine program, Officer Yazzo has been used in primarily 3 ways. Searching vehicles when there's probable cause for drugs, for vehicle and people searches when requested by other local agencies, for a number of community outreach and education events, like our summer community events, Nassau Fest, Oktoberfest, open house. Also visits to DPS to introduce kids to the department, demonstrate Yazzo's training and abilities, and encourage kids to think twice about getting mixed up with drugs. There is a log kept by Officer Bunny of canine activity, and to date, Officer Yazzo has been deployed 37 times in the village, and a handful of times he has also been requested by other agencies, by other local agencies. And it should be added that when Officer Bunny is not on duty and Officer Yazzo is called for a search, Officer Bunny doesn't get paid for that. He comes down, brings the dog does a search, and he goes home. He doesn't get paid for that. So if I were to evaluate the success or non-success of the canine program, I would call it outstanding. We've basically been able to add services, needed services, to the village police department in a budget-neutral way, which is basically unheard of in local government. I really apologize to you, Bob, but the emails were incessant, and I want to address these things. Police department budget. Regarding the police department budget, there is some concern that it has grown, especially in the very recent past. I think the time frame given was months. So I'll address that and several other budget issues. The police department budget that was adopted for 2015-16 fiscal year, the current fiscal year, was $125,775, exactly equal to what it was in 2014-15. There has been no increase in the last several months or in the last year. The recent figures compare to $161,060, which was the budget in 2010-11, and $155,276 in 2011-12. As a percentage of the entire general fund, the police department budget has decreased from 23.7% of the budget 5 years ago, 2010-2011, to 17.7% in 2015-16. So the relative amount of money spent on the police department has also decreased. So the absolute amount of money and the relative amount of money both decreased. Not increased, decreased. Also, there was a heated debate in the public after the police department budget was reduced in 2013. There are many of the people in this room were there. Many people took me aside and let me know that they thought the board did a disservice to the community by cutting the department's budget as much as it did. And I'll only point out that in the past year we've had 2 rashes of larcenies from vehicles in the village. All of them occurred after our scheduled duty hours that have been cut back as a result of the reduction in the budget. In fact, the board remembers, it wasn't that long ago, I advocated for increasing the number of hours on patrol this year by 2 hours a day. And it was shot down. The board didn't think it would be effective. And I guess we've gotten away with it so far. But who knows what the future holds? I do know this, and this still keeps me up. The fatal DWI crash up on Route 20 a couple years ago was the fault of an underage, drunk driver who drove right through the village after our patrols were over. Who knows what could have happened if he had been on patrol? I can tell you that, however, budget-wise, the police department is currently running more efficiently than it has as far back as I have information. One indicator of this is the cost per ticket issued. In 2010, 2011, every ticket that was written here cost $263. Every ticket. Now, this past year, 2014-15, $91. We are at a third of the rate. We're doing good here. Now I'm going to address this kind of weird thing about the overall attitude of officers in the department. And these claims are that the police officers have an attitude that needs to be corrected. And to be honest, I struggled a little bit with this one because it's kind of a vague concern. Sometimes I hear it manifested as village residents are targeted by police, or as I mentioned earlier, officers don't care about their equipment, they don't care about the village. I'll offer you this statistic. Last year, the department issued 1,383 tickets. 14 of those were to village residents. 1%. 1% of the tickets issued were to village residents. But maybe the best way, if you're not a numbers person like me, maybe the best way to provide information on the attitude of police officers in the village is to introduce each one of them to you. And so I've constructed bios about each of the officers. We'll start with the officer in charge, Officer Tom Jones. Officer Jones began his law enforcement career in Skodak in 2006. As a dispatcher, he became a police officer in 2008. He attended Zone 14 Law Enforcement Academy in Hudson from 2008 to 2009, graduated with top academic standing. Was hired at Nassau PD in 2009, promoted to officer in charge of the department in August of 2012. He's received the Exceptional Service, Life-Saving, and Drug Buster citations. He has secured multiple grants for Nassau PD, implemented taser, K9, and patrol rifle at minimal cost to the village. Under his lead, the department has updated its policies and procedures to standards of department accreditation, which very few departments have. Officer Jones is a certified police instructor, field training officer, public information officer, as well as police supervisor. Officer Jones is also a technology guru and has implemented numerous technological updates and technical support to village operations as a whole, as well as to the department in particular. And there are much larger departments with vastly greater budgets that aren't nearly as technologically advanced as our department, and certainly none in southern Rensselaer County. Officer Brandon Sipperly, currently the longest serving member of the department, he was hired here in 2006 as a police officer. He was hired in 2007 with Troy PD on a full-time basis, still stays here as a part-time. He's currently a detective in the Special Operations Section of the Troy PD. Certified New York State evidence technician, he has worked 8 homicide scenes. He's a certified New York State general topic instructor, field training officer, certified member of the Troy Police Emotionally Disturbed Response Team. He's certified in highway interdiction, commercial vehicle interdiction, and courtroom testimony. As a member of the Troy PD, he has been awarded the following: the Chief's Appreciation Award, the Silver Shield Award for Heroism, 4 commendations, 5 division citations, and 4 unit citations. Officer Daniel Bunny, Nassau PD's canine officer. Officer Bunny started his law enforcement career in the town of Post and Kill Police Department in 1978. At the time, he was the first officer in their department to be a certified police officer. He attended Albany Police Academy and also Hudson Valley Community College, where he received an associate degree in criminal justice. He was hired by our police department in 1979 and was here until 1981 when he left for the State Department of Corrections. He attended State Corrections Academy and was assigned to Greenhaven Correctional Facility, transferred to Coxsackie Correctional Facility, the one you hear about in the news lately, trying to find out a place for it. While at Coxsackie, he received Critical Emergency Response Team certification, worked part-time at the Coxsackie Police Department. And in 1988, he transferred to Summit Correctional Facility as a drill instructor for the SHOCK program. He became a certified police instructor, firearms instructor, defensive tactics instructor, chemical agents, and baton instructor. In 2010, Officer Bunny retired from the State Corrections Department and returned to work at the Nassau Police Department. Because he hadn't been an active police officer for a number of years, he was required to attend the academy again. He attended Zone 14 Law Enforcement Academy in Hudson. He graduated with top academic standing. He then became a certified field training officer and a canine handler. And as mentioned, he donated his time to get Officer Yazzo trained as a canine officer. Officer Keith Boniface. Officer Boniface joined the police department in 2008. He attended Zone 14 Law Enforcement Academy 2008-2009 with Officer Jones. Officer Boniface is a dispatcher, full-time with the town of East Greenbush, as well as holding a part-time position as a police officer with the town of Skodak. He's part-time with us as well. All of our officers. Officer Dan Colonna, the one that I spoke about earlier this evening. Officer Colonna has a Bachelor's of Science in Law Enforcement Management. He's been a certified police officer since 1982. Began his law enforcement career with village police departments, yes, again, our own, and Lake George. He was with those departments for 6 years before going to the Albany City Police Department, where he served for 24 years, rising through the ranks, eventually retiring as Commander of Patrol Operations, responsible for 185 sworn subordinate supervisors, officers, and civilian support staff. He was the only departmental master instructor and court-recognized expert witness in the use of force. He's a recipient of 2 life-saving awards, a Community Policing Award, and the Thomas Whalen Mayoral Award for Outstanding Public Official. Officer Colonna was an instructor with the New York State Division of Homeland Security. He trained municipal, state, federal, and military law enforcement in the areas of response to active shooters, school violence, technical emergency medical care. He also returned to the village Nassau Police Department in 2013, and since then he has become a certified taser instructor. Finally, he is a full-time special state police officer for the state of Massachusetts, holding the rank of Lieutenant of Police. Officer Kenneth Fuchs. Upon earning his Bachelor's of Science degree in computer science, Officer Fuchs began his career in Town of Colony Police Department. He began his career in law enforcement by completing the Zone 5 Law Enforcement Academy. While at the academy, Officer Fuchs was awarded honors for academic and physical fitness requirements. After 3 years of duty with the Town of Colony PD, he was appointed to the department's Special Services Team, its SWAT team. As a Special Services Team operator, Officer Fuchs received additional training in firearms, negotiations, entry, and defensive tactics. He earned certificates and membership in the National Tactical Officers Association, as well as the New York State Tactical Officers Association. His training certificates from the U.S. Navy SEALs, the U.S. Army Rangers. And he, for the remaining 18 and a half years of his employment with the Colony Police Department, he was on the Special Services Team, holding several positions ranging from sniper to point man to assistant team leader, and finally he was the team's leader. During his career as a patrol officer, he was appointed as a field training officer, primary field training officer. He was part of the department's Internal Affairs Division. As a patrol officer, investigator, and sergeant. 14 years he spent on the Internal Affairs In his 9th year in town of Colony Police Department, Officer Fuchs was promoted to investigator. He began as a juvenile investigator, certified juvenile investigator, and eventually was assigned to the department's Special Victims Unit, which dealt with not only investigating juvenile incidents, but also sex offense investigations. While in the investigation, Officer Fuchs was also assigned to the department's Special Investigations Unit, this unit handles undercover and reported drug investigations.
What is this?
Prerequisite to this assignment was a completion and participation in New York City PD high-intensity drug trafficking area school, as well as additional training provided by the DEA in undercover drug investigations. His final assignment with the Investigations Division was appointment and establishment of the department's Computer Crimes Unit. Officer Fuchs became the first police officer in the department's history to be assigned full-time to that unit. While with that unit, he completed additional training in the application of science of computer forensics, completed training provided by the FBI, New York State Police Department of Justice, as well as certifications from Guidance Software, National White Collar Crime Center, National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, High Tech Crime Investigators Association. He earned an appointment to the FBI's Innocent Images Task Force, which was established to investigate internet crimes against children in the Capital District. He served on that task force for 6 years, completing investigations at the state and federal level. In 2002, he was promoted to position as road sergeant. This assignment required him to supervise midnight shift, which consists of 15 patrol officers. Performed the duties of road sergeant for 9 months before receiving promotion to detective sergeant. As detective sergeant, he was supervising 20 detectives. In addition to being supervisor of the investigation division, he was assigned supervisor of special investigations units for narcotics, juvenile and sex crimes investigations, computer crimes. He also served as the department's press information officer during this time. He received, with the town of Colony, he received 13 command recognition awards, a life-saving award, and a distinguished service award, which is the department's highest honor. In 2011, he ended his 21-year career in the town of Colony and accepted a position as a computer forensics examiner with the FBI. In 2013, he was hired here as a part-time officer and is currently also a part-time officer with the Village of Enhance. Officer Nicholas Menudo. Officer Menudo entered military service in May of 2004 as a private first class M1A1 tank operator. He was enrolled at Siena College ROTC and led a 15-soldier team guarding train stations in the New York City area. He graduated and was commissioned in January 2007 as a second lieutenant military police officer and assigned to the 206th Military Police Company. Promoted to first lieutenant in October 2008, deployed to Iraq in the summer of 2009, returned home the following summer. Shortly after return stateside, he moved into the company executive officer position and was activated for Hurricane Irene, responding throughout the state as the only armed military unit. Promoted to captain in July 2012, served as 102nd MP Battalion Assistant Operation Officer and served as the battle captain in the Emergency Operations Center during Hurricane Sandy, coordinating and tasking a joint task force of nearly 600 soldiers and airmen. He's currently a company commander with the 102nd Military Battalion, commanding 150 soldiers. He'll become eligible to be promoted to major in July of 2016. He's been employed since 2012 as a federal investigator for the U.S. Department of Labor, leading numerous whistleblower investigations, protecting whistleblower rights. He's currently enrolled in the Master's of Arts degree program at SUNY Empire State College. He became employed as a police officer with our department in August 2013, graduated the Zone 14 Law Enforcement Academy April of 2014 with Officer Alexander Restifo. Next on the list. Officer Restifo joined the New York Army National Guard in early 2001 and has been in continuous service since that date. He was deployed to New York City shortly after the 9/11 attacks to secure public transportation sites. He was deployed to Iraq in 2004, served in Operation Iraqi Freedom II as an infantry as an infantryman on daily patrols, numerous raids, and other tactical operations. During service in Iraq, he was awarded the Purple Heart for wounds received in action from a roadside improvised explosive device that exploded while he was stationed in a turret of a Humvee. Officer Restafo has been assigned to full-time active duty since 2005 with various assignments in the capital region of New York and New York City. He's currently assigned at the Watervliet Arsenal as a unit administrator working in support of a recruiting company. He reports directly to a major and first sergeant and is responsible for the human resource requirements of a 40-man company. He was hired by our department in 2013, attended Zone 14 Police Academy with Officer Menudo. He was appointed leader of the academy class by the academy administration and was awarded most outstanding recruit. And he has made several notable drug and DWI arrests in his time with the village. My point in having introduced all of the officers to you is very simple. You've heard the bios of these officers. They don't have any attitude problems. They wouldn't have made it as far as they did with attitude problems. These officers are about as good as you're going to see in any department, anywhere, at any time. I've been hearing a lot, quite frankly, loud noise coming from several board members, specific board members. I find no evidence, none at all, to corroborate any of the claims. And I would ask earnestly that we refrain from making baseless accusations and we focus on the immediate issues facing the village. Those being, we have a water main upgrade to make. Obviously, we just saw what condition the water mains are in. We have a master plan coming, and we have a future for this village. That future includes the police department.
Okay, Attorney Dave, maybe I'll hold my comments and get down to that discussion about the Dewey local letter. Okay, trustees, Dave, you can go first.
The question is really, do we want to spend $40,000 on a new vehicle? That's really the question. And I mean, can we get a car for 25 or 30,000, save 10,000 at least here? You know what I mean? And do we need to have an SUV to accommodate a police dog? Is that why we need the SUV? And that's what the questions are for. It's about saving money for the village and, you know, doing it for the residents. That's on that issue. Regarding building department, I went with the GC today over at MCO, Michael Ford, regarding Cumberland. Wednesday, July 15th, they should be complete with construction. And so far, they've passed all inspections. Only the electrical inspection remains. And Cumberland Farms takes over on July 28th. That's it for now.
By our September meeting, at which point we will be polishing it up, tying it all together, and set the goal of having something for this board by October to hopefully approve for public review and comment. And then after that, it would be just a matter of finalizing any little things, hopefully little things, if anything, before actually finalizing the plan, hopefully by year's end.
Provide coverage, whether it's 12 hours a day or we would all love to be guarded 24 hours a day. It's impossible. Yes, somebody's on duty someplace, and I know that there are already in place, and for many years we have the sheriff and the state police, and Skodak helps us, and maybe even East Greenbush, but there are resources available and consolidation can happen, saving us even more money, providing us with more coverage. So it is something that we should question. And I don't think it's irresponsible to suggest that we may be able to save money instead of buying a $40,000 new vehicle. And as much as I love the idea of having the canine, our canine officer, gives me a charge just thinking about it, is there a less expensive option? And if this Other communities do have canine patrol, don't they?
That's correct.
I'm sure they do. If we build a consortium, just as we have a regional school system, and I have heard that the sheriff's department has been looking for a satellite on this side of the river. This is possible, but the board has to see the light that there is a positive side to consolidating resources, and our governor has, I don't have the link, but you can go to newyork.com, Commission of Mayors, to find out the information. They will provide state resources to help figure this out, because it gets a little complicated. And it's almost like a mediation process where we'll give you this and we'll take that. But if we pooled our needs and divided community resources, instead of sticking it out on our own, which has been the pattern, we're going to find that we will save money and build a consortium of collective resources and personnel that we could never have on our own. Buddy, Mike, thank you very much.
Anybody else have comment? John?
Yeah, I think that new guy with Jay is working out very good. I think he was a good fit.
I agree. Anyone else?
Can I ask one more question?
Sure.
Is the police department, are they certified for that? What they do with the drug stuff, when they give that needle, whatever they do?
I mean, the breathalyzer?
No. It's
Narcan?
bring them back or something.
Well, the ambulance does that. I don't think the police, do you police carry that? You don't carry that.
No, reason being is it's $50 per kit now, and the price keeps going up, and they expire every year. And since the ambulance carries it,
Yeah, we're readily available if
Yeah.
they need it.
But wouldn't it be a good idea for $50 to save some kid's life? I mean,
but they, like,
Got one from the county too.
There you go. Well, listen, you deserve those birthday presents, right? Isn't that wonderful? Well, that's, the 70 years amazes me though. Yeah, I can't even go there.